Hello, hello. Welcome to the place for offbeat health professionals who have bravely swapped their healthcare hats for non-clinical creative caps. I'm Caitlin, a psychologist turned copywriter, and this is Healers with Hustles. Right now, does your bio feel like a boring list of credentials, a jumble of jargon, or maybe it's just feeling a bit off, like it doesn't sound like you? Well, today I'm breaking down the biggest bio mistakes, the key components of a standout bio, and how to write a bio that attracts the right people without sounding awkward or generic. Let's get into it. Now, if you're a therapist, coach, or service provider, your bio isn't something that's just sitting on your about page. Your bio really could be anywhere. So it might be what people read out when they introduce you on, say, a podcast, or they might read it in a directory, or maybe they might hear your bio when you're being introduced as a speaker. That means your bio might be the first thing that a potential client hears or reads about you, which is super, super important because we all know how important first impressions are. Unfortunately, a lot of bios fall into the same traps. They're too credential heavy, like they list a lot of degrees or awards without really making people care. They might be full of jargon, so maybe more about impressing your colleagues rather than actually connecting with people you want to work with. And they might lack personality as well, or just sound like everyone else. But the thing is, with your bio, you really need it to be written in a way that your potential clients, they feel seen, and they also feel safe to reach out to you. And so here's a permission slip, because I love a permission slip. You don't have to sound overly professional or perfect in your bio. You really just need to sound like you. So when I was researching for this podcast episode on bios, I was reading a few bios that I thought were good, pretty good examples, right? And they seem to have at least 4, maybe 5 things in common. So they had a bit of storytelling, here's why I do what I do kind of thing. They had a bit of transformation. This is what I help you achieve. They had a bit of authority. So I'm the expert you've been looking for. And they're a bit relatable. So it's basically saying I'm a little like you. And they also, which kind of fits in with the relatability, but they also have personality. So it's a bit like, this is what I'm like to work with, which is super important. And I don't know if it's something that's talked about a lot, but I really think your bio should feel a little bit like what you do. And what I mean is make sense in relation to your point of difference. So say you're a therapist and you're really deep and reflective and quite, I don't know, like mystical or something like that. Your bio should be written in a way that really feels maybe insightful and layered. If you're a no fluff business coach, your bio should really be clear and punchy and to the point. Maybe if you are super creative and help people embrace their creativity, I think it's really important for your bio to also show that, show your creativity and show what it's like for you to work and show what it's like to work with you. So the nuts and bolts of a great bio. So really we want our bio to answer key questions that really make people know, like, and trust you. So here are a few questions that are important for a bio. So the first thing is, who are you? So adding a little bit of credibility and your unique positioning. So you might say something like your name, your profession, your business, maybe what makes you different from others in your field. Maybe do you have any key credibility markers? So that might be credentials, or it might be like where you've been featured, that kind of thing. Here are a few examples. So for a business coach, let's call her Jess. Jess is a business strategist and founder of the Scalable Solopreneur, a coaching program helping 500 plus service-based entrepreneurs scale sustainably. With a decade in corporate leadership and an MBA, she's been featured in Forbes and Business Insider. And then creative examples. So for a florist, Mia is an award-winning floral designer and founder of the wildly popular Wild Ivy Blooms, a boutique floral studio specializing in garden-inspired arrangements. Trained at London's Covent Garden Academy, her work has been featured in Vogue Weddings and The Knot. So who do you help? So your audience. So really you're talking about your audience and maybe their struggles as well. So naming your ideal audience or your client and maybe talking a little bit of specific challenges they face or painting a picture about that, because you want to connect with your ideal audience, and really highlighting people's pain is a way to show empathy. And so back to our coach, Jess. So Jess works with entrepreneurs struggling with inconsistent income and overwhelming to-do lists. If you've ever thought, I love what I do, but I don't know how to grow my business, she helps you create the systems that work, all without burning out. And then back to our florist. So Mia works with couples, event planners, and boutique hotels who want florals that feel effortless yet superbly elegant. If your vision is lush, organic, and anything but hydrangeas, Mia's designs bring it to life with artistry and precision. And so 3, how you help, basically what you do. What are your key services? Maybe there's a method that you're known for, or maybe you have a unique angle or that kind of thing. So for the examples of our business coach, through her scalable solopreneur method, Jess blends business strategy, marketing, and automation to help clients streamline their business, raise their rates, and get a bunch of their time back. A florist, Mia sources seasonal blooms from sustainable farms, blending color psychology and floral artistry to create arrangements that pull at heartstrings. Also have what it's like to work with you. So a bit about your personality and your experience. Maybe what's your work style or what's the experience of working with you. Now for an example, with our business coach, clients describe Jess as the perfect mix of tough love and clarity. Jess cuts through the noise with real actionable strategies. And then for our florist, clients describe Mia as a calming presence on wedding days, someone who listens, understands your vision, and exudes with grace. In summary, for a great formula for a bio, so answering these 5 questions. Who are you? Who do you help? How you help? What it's like working with you? And maybe like a little personal detail that makes you memorable. I think is always a bit fun as well. And then for a personal detail, this is optional, but an example would be for our business coach, when she's not coaching, Jess is hiking with her rescued dog, Bruno, testing productivity hacks, or enjoying a 3 p.m. espresso break. And for our example with our florist, Mia's home is always filled with flowers and homemade sourdough, and she's known for turning dinner parties into impromptu floral workshops. Now, maybe you could take a look at your bio and see what it reads like. Read it out loud, see if there's anywhere that you're stumbling. It's hard to pronounce, because if you're reading it and you're stumbling, then the person who's reading in their heads are also going to stumble. And see if you can make a few changes to it as well. But of course, if you want more tips about how to write, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, and I'll see you next week. All right. That's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Healers with Hustles. If you've enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a tiny favor and subscribe to the show? Just tap the subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and you'll be the first to know as soon as a new episode drops. Thanks so much for listening. Okay, ta-ta for now.